Well, I mean, an example is Megadeth, who are playing on Saturday at Dowload, and we're only going for the day on Friday, and I'm gutted. I'm gutted because for all the reasons we've said, they're coming off the back of a cracking album. Dave Ellison's back in the band. It would be a hell of a show. It's the first time they played the UK on the album, for example. But crap.
But equally, I mean, you take someone like you're not a Kiss fan. You can have the biggest show with the most anticipation in the world, but if you fundamentally don't like the band, don't like their material, then it doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah, it helps. It means less tedium. You can kill 2 hours better if you've got something to watch, but it doesn't mean you'll go home and buy the record.
No.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that the gig is the best one that you've ever seen.
Absolutely. Although with Kiss, you can just go outside and buy the gig you just saw.
Yeah, straight away. Well, we'll talk about stage show in a minute, but just briefly, I want to mention support.
Support. Now, this is an interesting one because I think good support can really make or break like some gigs. There's a couple of like risk factors for bands. Obviously, if you have a bad support, Neil Hamburger for Taster's Gig, that can kind of kill the excitement a bit. Equally, you have to be careful that your support isn't better than you are, which we have seen on occasion.
I mean, I don't think a support. I don't think it makes or breaks a gig. I think if the headline act is good, that's who you came to see. That's who you paid your money for. Generally speaking, although I would have paid money to see Dream Evil and Hammerfall tour for Dream Evil the support. And I think we've probably all done that. We've probably all gone to I went to a Less Than Jake gig so I could see Yellow Card support, that kind of thing. It was a long time ago.
I mean, sometimes though, you kind of go along to a gig and the support is kind of like an amazing bonus. For example, Duracell supported Wales tour.
Yeah, and I was still supporting Sabaton.
Yeah,
I mean I would be going for Sabaton. Don't get me wrong, but it's a hell of a gig.
Explain to the nice ladies and gentlemen why you're not going to that gig.
Oh, because I'm getting married the day after, so I can't go to the gig. Although I'm still don't tell anybody. Hopefully no one will listen to this. But there's still a chance that we.
Please send personal messages telling Mano to go to this gig. Come on, it's the last chance before he's cropped in the shackles.
Yeah, it's possible. Although you never know, what we're going to full download next year.
There'll be
nothing else to do by then, so we might as well.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I don't think support necessarily makes or breaks a gig, but it doesn't necessarily tarnish a headline act as such, although they can be upstaged. But when you come away and think about the whole night, you know, I think you're always more proud if you've seen a cracking support.
How about when you get the occasional show which is not a particular band but a group of bands? Pagan Fest, the Black Crusade.
So people that are grouped by genre, maybe.
Yeah, but you get like a show of with no one really, or like a revolving headline show,
or something, or like a magazine-sponsored show, where they just pick up a handful of bands. I quite like that. I mean, the Black Crusade you just said, cracking. That was really good. I mean, you tend to pick 1 or 2 bands that you want to see, but I love that. I love like a little mini festival, 5 bands back to back, all with a bit of quality. Generally, you don't have. It's not like that was at the NEC, for example. It's not like Metallica plus up and comings. It's 5 of similar size, you know.
Metal Fest. That's a good example. Kind of that. That was kind of. Although that was more bigger than that.
Metal Fest was a strange concept, and it was all JB's sized bands. So none of them were huge. Quite a few of them were obscure and rarely played the UK. It wasn't up and coming bands. It was.
Obscure bands.
Yeah, less popular bands, less well-known bands.
But I had a really good time there.
It was wicked, it was good fun, it was random, it was weird having a festival in what's effectively a large plotting shed. So, you know, cracking, fair play. And I love it, don't get me wrong, I love JB's. I think it's one of those proper venues that doesn't have barriers 16 foot from the stage so you can't get near the bands. But that's great, yeah, I do like those. I do like it when there's a well-structured kind of tour of people of the same size, plus you feel you get a bit of variety. But then you say what makes a perfect gig. I don't know if one of those would ever be a perfect gig because you need to have
a focal point.
Yeah, you do. You need a headliner.
Yeah.
Thing. And although I loved Pagan Fest, I wouldn't say it was one of my favourite gigs of all time. I enjoyed it. It was a good night, but I'm not sure if it would be one of my favourite gigs of all time just because they tend to dilute each other.
And then we're looking at your final topic, your stage show.
Yeah, I think stage show. I think, and in many ways, maybe this is the most important. You know, like we said, if AC/DC come on tomorrow and just stand there and play, they're a great band, they've got great songs, but we expect a stage show. And if you don't get it, you know.
One word really to talk about this one, and that is Rammstein.
Oh, Rammstein. Well, I mean, the thing about Rammstein is, I'll listen to the records. Of course you do. They're good songs. Some of them are belters, but it's not about that. I mean, it's the same with Airborne and to a certain extent AC/DC. The records are good. They're great, but it's not until you see them live it really all makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been waiting a long time for Rammstein, that anticipation, and finally seeing them and seeing that vast amounts of flame.
Something, and at Sonosphere, was it 13 tons of pyro?
Exactly. It's just going to be like, your jaw will drop and just like, whoa.
It's just something else. And it's in different ways.
Yeah.
Because the Kiss, I mean, I'm not a Kiss fan, but the fact that they managed to put on such a show at Donington, that was gimmicks. And same with Rammstein, I suppose. It's gimmicks and it's spectacular visual effects. With Airborne, it's intensity. It's 4 guys playing tunes, but playing it with their hearts, sweat and blood. So 2 different approaches, but both spectacular shows.
Yeah, I mean, so again, it depends on the band. For example, you would never expect a large stage set with Napalm Death, but you get a good show because you get exactly what you're after, which is
it's intensity, it's energy, it's. But then also Barney tends to connect well with the crowd, which is good frontmanship. Maybe that's a factor.
That is important. But as we said, in terms of big gigs, normally it's the stage show that sells it.
What would you prefer to see? A big stage show with lots of fire, pyros, visuals, like a Tool maybe with lasers, or just a band really on form with banging tunes, played well, presented well. Not like Guns N' Roses.
I think in a way I do prefer kind of a big band with visual style, like Tool or something. Maybe in a way because kind of it gives you a more multimedia feeling experience. And there's nothing wrong with a small gig because if you've got a small gig where bands are really belting it out, having a really good performance, you get that real energy, like early Dragon Force gigs. You really feel that connection. You haven't got that connection in a big gig. So I think at that point, what replaces that is the stage show experience. Like you said, Tool. At no point you feel a personal connection really between the band members, but you get that kind of what the hell's going on, lights, lasers, the kind of total sensory overload.
So it converts you maybe from being a fan, a supporter, into being a spectator. So you're very much sitting back and enjoying the show experience.
I think there's very much to say that small shows become gigs and large shows become shows.
They are shows, yeah. It's very much like a night at the theatre when you go to a Kiss concert. Yeah. Rather than, you tend to find the people down the front absolutely getting hammered to the music. Maybe less so the people that are standing a bit further back watching the show. I mean, there are going to be some Kiss fans out there, and fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying anything against the tunes as such, but it's just there is so much to see, there's so much else going on that it's not all about the strength of the music.
And I think in some ways, if a very, very big show can have a gig in it, in a sense, and what I mean by that is that, say you take an Iron Maiden show, there's people at the back enjoying the show, but there's people right down the front who are having a gig.
Yeah, getting into the music and just being that sense of intimacy.
I mean, I've never been at the front of a really big show that often. I tend to be more at the back because I enjoy seeing the visuals. But then presumably people at the front are having an equally fun time because they're that close to their band.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it depends what you're there for, really. What you're looking to get out of it, and again, I suppose who the band are playing. Do you think the length of set makes a difference, or is that's entirely dependent on the band?
Again, it is. I mean, going back to my old friends at Napalm, I would never like to see a 2.5 hour Napalm show. I think you've got to grind to a halt on that.
You get all you need to from Napalm in an hour, really. And plus it's pretty intense most of the time.
I mean, I think they'd have to kind of it would water down if it was longer.